The president of the African Development Bank, AFDB, Mr. Akinwumi Adesina, has said that the federal government's decision to suspend duties and taxes on imported food commodities was depressing. Now, Adesina stated this at a retreat organized by the African primates of the Council of African Provinces of Africa, SCAPA, in Abuja at the weekend. Now, on July 8th, the Minister of Agriculture and Food Security, Mr. Abubakar Kyari, he said duties, tariffs, and taxes on importation of maize, husked brown rice, wheat, and cowpeas would be suspended through the country's land and sea borders for 150 days. But speaking on the theme, food security and financial sustainability in Africa, the role of the church, Adesina said that the plan would only address short-term food prices and food prices hike in the country and will not get to address the issue, the major issue of food shortage and food inflation in Nigeria. In fact, he has said that the thought of this alone is very depressing. Let's get your thoughts, Dr. John.
When a country begins to, plan, if your food security program depends on importation, you have failed. Number one, if we are producing, you see, Nigeria has been consuming too much. We consume and consume, we don't produce. Even in basic issues, matters like food, we are still talking of suspending tariff and so on. You are rather glorifying the poverty of ideas in the country. Because number one, if you are producing this food, you create job opportunities for your people. Number two, you boost food production. And when you boost, food security is number one.
True.
Before you think of any other thing at all, a nation that cannot feed itself, that relies on other countries for food, has already failed. Nigeria is a failed nation.
But we have these food products. It's not like we don't have it. We're not one of those nations that lack food products.
We lack, if we don't lack food products.
That's what I'm talking about, agriculture now.
Agriculture, we lack everything. Do you know that some food items you eat here, at a point until Obasanjo and others came to fix the issue of chicken. Do you know we are importing chicken?
To think we're even importing maize.
Maize is being imported now. What is affecting Nigeria and other countries, import-dependent countries, is Ukraine, the Russia-Ukraine war. They are our major grain suppliers. And because there is war now, they are not producing as much as they would have produced. And that is why don't you know the price of bread? As of last year, before the Russia-Ukraine war, the bread they now buy for 1,700 naira was 600 naira before. At that time.
It was because of the wheat and the flour.
It is no longer coming.
Yes.
The production of wheat and flour is not, we don't sustain it in Nigeria.
We import them.
We import, how can a nation import wheat and flour? Now, some years back, President Jonathan even came on board and said, look, instead of depending on these imports, we can use cassava to make our bread. He illustrated it, demonstrated it. What happened? As soon as he left office, everything died. That is the Nigerian factor that will continue to kill this nation. If we are relying today on cassava for our bread, the price of bread will not go to the rooftop. But you initiate a policy at a point, that policy is killed.
The question is, why are we importing food products that we can produce here?
You cannot produce. You don't have the machinery to produce it.
Why are we importing rice when we have rice here? Why are we importing maize when we have them everywhere on the road?
The rice you produce here is different from, where are the machines? Where are the mills? Where are the mills to process?
That is what we should be looking at as a nation. So that's what we should be looking at, enhancing these things. But we pay so much attention when we're about to export this food products. We pay so much attention to making sure that it is refined and it is proper for export. But we don't make sure that it is proper for our own consumption.
And do you know why government emphasizes export? Some terrible contractors might have suggested to them now that, see, if you give me the contract to import food for some 150 days, Minister, listen. So, why government, one of the reasons, I guess, government is now lifting levies and so on importation of food and so on, is there are some interests there that are perfected plans to dupe the nation.
There may be some.
Yes, we have studied Nigeria for a very long time. Very soon, see, in the next 1 to 2 months, when there's a storyline of importation of food and sharp practices, you are the one to call me again to come and discuss it.
Because I'm really not even going to ask you what do we do now, or how do we make sure that our food products are enough for us, because these are things that even our leaders already know. We know what to do. We know the issues that agriculture is facing in Nigeria: insecurity, lack of adequate equipment, and all of these cases are there. So if we really want to pay attention and make sure that we produce what we eat, then we can do it. There's no need to ask how do we move forward from that now. It's something that is out there and everybody knows. But you know, time is no longer on our side. So let's get your final thoughts.
Now, talking about this importation of food and so on, is it not even shameful that 63 years after independence, even before independence, we had enough food in this country? In the 70s, we had enough food.
We didn't have the same population.
The more you have population, the more you produce food for the household, the more you acquire land and so on. It's very shameful. So I want the federal government to take a look at it. No nation has progressed, has prospered when you look at importation of food. China, Singapore and others, we need to look inwards. Right. Look at the resources we have. Harness these resources for sustainable development.
Dr. John, we appreciate your contribution on today's show.
That was a blowout today.
I hope you had it some other time. This is where we get to wrap it up on this episode of Blowout. We appreciate you for being a part of this conversation. It wouldn't have been possible without you. Don't forget that we are open to partnership. We're open for partnership and sponsorship. Do well to stay connected with us on all of our socials, on Facebook and YouTube at Atlantic Television Network, on Instagram and TikTok at Atlantic TV Network 1, on X at Atlantic TV Net. Watch us live on our website at www.atlanticnetwork.tv. Peace and unity are the pathways to progress. Never forget that. I am Enidoye Jackson. Coming up next is Open Conversation. Stay with us.